Y'all niggas got me hot.
All right, so staying on these adult comedy movies, let's go over to the Austin Powers trilogy, which I think I'm the only one that's seen these movies, right?
I know. I've seen the first one.
Oh, bad. Okay. Billy, go ahead. How did you like the first one?
At the beginning, I was kind of like annoyed because I felt like I don't know. I felt like it was lame. I don't know, but over time, it grew on me throughout the movie.
Mhm.
The end results, although it was a bit childish, like the villain, it didn't seem like a real villain. The way they talk, their dialogue, yeah, it just seems so like childish.
That's what they're
But
going
it
for.
still, yeah, it still ended funny, and I really like this movie. Yeah.
Uh, Nebby, I don't think you've seen any of them.
No, I haven't. But
They're all on Netflix. So if you want, go check them out. I feel like these movies are ones that you would like much better if we saw them in the '90s, and it was just like at that time period when it was made. Nowadays, they're not as funny because we have gotten accustomed to a different type of comedy. But they're spoof. I think I said this earlier. They're a spoof on the James Bond movies where they make fun of the absurdity of the plots and like how easy the villains are to trick. All of those jokes landed to me when I watched it. The second and third movies are generic. Like they don't add anything to it. I feel like this is one of the ones where if the first one wasn't so good, I would put it at Y because I don't think the second and third ones really need to be there. The second one, it's not horrible. It still has some funny bits to it, but it's a type of second movie. It's a type of sequel where they make a bit too many references back to the first one, where it gets a little bit boring at some time. I don't have too much else to say, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this at not really.
the camera spinning, yeah, not really. And I haven't even seen the movie. I'm gonna have to put it out. Why?
Ooh, that's not him. This is him. All right, Billy.
What was that phrase he always said?
Shag. What is it? Shagalicious.
No, it's like when he would like
Uh,
bop his head while he was saying it.
Did never you put Y? Billy, go ahead.
I'm gonna put it pretty good.
Oh, I
All right.
did.
Okay, now let's go on to the Naked Gun movies, which are pretty similar to the Austin Powers movies. These are, if any of you have seen Airplane, these are just those crazy movies that guy makes. Leslie Nielsen.
Airplane.
He made Airplane. He was an Airplane, Naked Gun. Uh, we're not gonna count
Oh.
Police Squad. He makes some of the better movies, better comedies. I gotta say, I've only seen the first two Naked Gun movies. The first two are equally as hilarious. I don't think there's a dip in comedy yet. They still work. They're supremely absurd. It's a lot like the Austin Powers, where it's just a cop that makes a whole bunch of jokes. There's nothing crazy about the plot either. It's just the jokes and how they act. That's what makes it so funny. I haven't seen the third one. I've heard a lot of bad things about the third one though. So I'm not going in with too high of expectations. I don't have too much to say about this. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this at not really. Or actually, I'll put it at pretty good for now because of the two that I've seen, they're both pretty equal, consistent leveled movies. Of course, I'm not gonna go off of like the consistency of the characters because that's not the point of the movies, but they're okay to good, and that's why I think they'll be right there, pretty good.
I haven't seen the movie either. So,
What are your expectations for now?
you gave it a not really.
I gave it a pretty good.
Oh, pretty good. Well, you said pretty good. I guess you said it was really good comedy for back in its day. So I guess I'll give it a. What was it? Not really.
All right, Billy.
Um, I'm also gonna put it not really. Having not watched it.
All right, now we're getting back into the ones that all of us have watched with the Pirates of the Caribbean's, the first three. I'll go ahead and say I don't count the last two as being a part of the same atmosphere as the first three. So I'm just going to exclude those, and we're going to talk about these three. Nebby, I know you absolutely love Pirates of the Caribbean, so I'm going to go ahead and let you talk.
Fact. It's fact. The House of the Caribbean, the best actors, they got Johnny Depp, they got the whole squad. Um, they got really, really good, cool storytelling. There's always so many plots and plot twists, and like just so much hype and so much action, and you gotta love it. Not to just like everybody loves Jack Sparrow. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I feel like Jack Sparrow is one of the few drunks that if I was in that universe, I might actually want to be Jack Sparrow, even though he's pretty out there, I'll say.
It makes someone want to be a pirate. Who would be the best pirate out of all of us, though? That's the question.
Of us
I think
three,
Billy would be.
yeah, probably Billy.
I don't know.
Probably
Man,
Billy will look the best in a pirate's hat, or
Oh,
maybe either you or Nebby is all right. I can see him with the hat now. I can see him possibly pulling it off. Say the first two. I think the first one is still the best. I think the first one's the best. The Dead Man's Chest is up there though. This is not a dip in quality whatsoever. It's like it'll be a back and forth, just like what day you ask me. I'll like the second one more. Another day I'll like the first one more. The third one though, I felt like it went on for a bit too long, and it didn't have me connected with the movie as much as the first two did.
wait, which one was
Uh,
the third one? What was that about?
where they go out. The first half I definitely was connected with. It was where they go out to get Jack Sparrow from what is it,
Oh,
Davy Jones's locker.
mm,
yeah.
And I'll definitely say that one scene where Jack Sparrow's in Davy Jones's locker and then the crabs are picking up his ship. That's one of my favorites ever. Like those, that's a great scene. It's really funny too. You can really see,
Great movie.
you can see Johnny Depp having a really good time as as Jack Sparrow. But
It was
I
like
did,
a different Jack Sparrows going on. That was
you
kind of
know,
long.
I did say that it's a dip in quality. I'll stand by that. But it's not like a huge dip in quality where all of a sudden it goes from really good movies to garbage. It's like it goes from really good movies to like just a little bit worse. Like still good movies. Maybe not in that upper echelon of films for the early 2000s or the late 2000s. The first two are just some of the best. This isn't science fiction. What is it? Just adventure movies I've ever seen. The third one just isn't in that list anymore once you get there.
Yeah. I would disagree though. I thought it was really fine. I think this one was about like how I guess maybe it was Jack Sparrow and I think it was the Octopus Man who like worked together to like defeat the British.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
mhm.
That was funny.
That was a nice scene. Like I remember really good closure. I feel like I got to
No,
close
it's
that
not
one.
that. For me, it's not that the movie itself doesn't work. It's everything that you would bring up. I feel like I like the scenes. It just felt like it dragged on for a little too long. I think it's like 3 hours long. Let me actually make sure. It,
And that was the shortest movie in the
yeah.
trilogy.
Now this
Nah,
is 2 hours and 50 minutes. It just
that's
went
what I
on for too
want.
long.
I want to see. I want to see more of it. You know what I mean? I
not
want that.
not that's not what the last two movies teach you.
Shoot. Should we vote?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start off with Billy.
When it comes to adventure, definitely. I think Jack Sparrow is at the top for me. Uh, but I don't remember too much about it, so I don't have too much to say. So I'm gonna have to put it at pretty good.
Okay.
Now, Nebby. Hold up,
100%.
hold up. I know where
Oh,
you're putting it. Go ahead.
you led today. Oh yeah,
Legendary.
it's
All right.
fast. Fast.
You know what I'm thinking right now is I would put Pirates of the Caribbean right in between the Star Wars, just like the legendary ability of Star Wars, and then the really, really goodness of the Spider-Man trilogy. I really want there to be another category for me to put Pirates of the Caribbean in, but for now, I'm gonna have to put in really, really good.
I'm saying.
All
For me, this
right.
one was easy. So, mile away.
Let's see.
It's like we
I'll
all
go
this
ahead.
movie multiple times.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and I don't think you guys have. Okay, Nebby. I'm not gonna exclude you. I'm gonna try and hype these movies up as much as I can to you. First of all, this trilogy right here, the Dollars Trilogy. I'm not sure if you're really into westerns, but if you are, these are three of the greatest ever. Like, if you ever search up a list of greatest westerns ever, these three are gonna definitely be in the top 10, no matter whoever you ask. I will say they're long movies. These are movies that'll take up like a good 3 hour chunk of your day, but they're filmmaking masterpieces from Sergio Leone. I'm not even gonna say a lot about it because I know none of you have seen it. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna put it at legendary because it is legendary. These are all critically acclaimed movies. These are all movies that build up suspense in a way that very few have ever done. Clint Eastwood does an amazing job as the man with no name. And I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. There's some amazing movies. They have some of the best villains ever too, and I think one of the best heroes ever in the man. Once again, the man with no name. Just based off of some of the praise I gave it now, what are your expectations going in, Nippy? Yeah.
I'm not completely unfamiliar with this trilogy. I saw like 3 or 4 clips. I
Mhm.
can't remember which one of the movies this was. And before you praising this movie, I probably would have put it really good. But now my expectation is at legendary.
They should be. If you go into these but you shouldn't go in like with a legendary as in like Star Wars legendary expectations. These are like cinematic masterpieces legendary.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
I love Western movies too. So
Yeah.
I
Uh,
don't think I've ever seen a Western movie. Just straight up.
Nebby, have you ever seen a Western? I don't know. I've never heard you talking about a Western ever.
Yeah, I don't think I have seen any Western movie. I mean, you gave really good high praise, so I'm not gonna say it was legendary. I'm gonna say because I don't really expect me to put it that high, just because I don't really have a high opinion of these type of movies. I'm gonna say it pretty good.
Pretty good.
hey Yabo,
Okay.
have you seen Wild Wild West?
Oh, the one with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Do you remember if you liked it or not?
Uh, not really. I'm not gonna. I'll tell the truth and say that my opinion of it has been shaped by social media because
Uh,
people be hating on that movie so much. I saw it like 5 years ago. I don't really
yeah,
remember it though.
I liked it, but everybody seems to hate it. I don't know why.
But
Let's. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the other pretty iconic trilogy here, the Godfather Trilogy. I know Billy, you've seen the first one.
Yes.
I feel like undoubtedly the first two are, for me, some people might hate me for saying this, but top 20, 25, top 25 movies of all time to me. People will be like, oh, they're the best two ever, but I'll put them at top 25 for now. I'll have to give it more thought to see where they actually place. But the third one doesn't live up to that hype, but it's still a really good movie. Go to Rotten Tomatoes, these are 100% movies. You go to IMDb, these are 9.0 movies. These are some of the most amazing. These are, I still will not, I don't think these are my favorite gangster movies. I gotta put Goodfellas up there. Goodfellas just enthralled me in the action more in the actual storyline. The Godfather is amazing, just like Fistful of Dollars and the other movies in the Dollars Trilogy. These are just cinematic masterpieces. These are movies that, as you watch them, they're 3 hours long, but you're still in the movie. You're in them, up encompassed with what's happening in the movie. Billy, I know you've seen the first one, so I'll let you talk about the first one at least a little bit.
Yeah. So after before watching The Godfather, the first one, you and Hamza like really praised it, and you said it was good. And I gotta say, my expectation weren't that high, but after watching it, I'll definitely put the first one in the top 10 movies, in my opinion, that I've ever watched, or overall. Um, it's just the plot line is great. Um, Speaking of Goodfellas, I know you like Goodfellas a lot, but I'm gonna have to put it over Goodfellas. That's how good it was.
I mean, a lot of people would do that. It's just favor wise, I just liked Goodfellas more. Just watching it, it just had me more excited throughout the movie.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all convinced me that this movie was fire. I heard like this movie like won like a lot of Oscar nominations. I just remember hearing its name a lot come up. So my expectation is legendary. I know.
It
Yeah,
should be. But the thing is that this is also a movie that watching it maybe like what is it 50 years later. I watched it either late last year or early this year. It lives up to the hype. It definitely does. Just like Billy said, he went in with high expectations. It still lived up to the hype. So Billy, where would you put it?
Definitely legendary.
All right, there's no question from me here. No argument here. So let's go ahead, move on to. Before we move on to the ones that everybody's seen, let's finish out with Alien, the Alien trilogy. I gotta say, unlike most people, the first Alien it's boring to me. Aliens, however, I think Aliens is a million times better. It's whereas Alien was more of the sit through it and it's just a whole bunch of beautiful stuff, or it's a whole bunch of kind of eye appealing imagery. Aliens is action, and I don't think I would actually recommend Alien to any of you. I would recommend Aliens. I feel like you guys would have a good time watching Aliens. I think the quality went up as this trilogy went along. Neither of you have seen the Alien movies, have you guys?
No.
Do I need to see like the first one before I can see the second one?
Nah, just go straight to the second one. Skip the first one.
Alright.
I mean, of course, Ridley Scott is a great director, but I never got into his movies. Even Gladiator, I don't put Gladiator as high as most people would. Just as a movie, I was once again, I was bored a lot of the way through that movie. Ridley Scott just doesn't do it for me as a director.
What's the movie about though?
It's about an alien. It's about a space crew who encounter aliens.
Alright.
So, Billy, go ahead. What are your expectations as of now?
Oh, I'm not too impressed. I've always tried to find a reason to watch the movie, and I really never came up with. And so, after your impression of it, I'm gonna have to put it not really.
Same,
Right.
not really. The first one ain't good. Then
I'll say just because the last two are so much better, I'll say pretty good. Okay, now let's move on to the Matrix trilogy.
Ooh.
I've seen all three of them. Billy, I know you've seen the first. I don't think you've seen any of the other two, right?
No.
Nebby, I think you're the same. You saw the first one. You didn't go to the others.
Yeah.
Before we move on, every time the Matrix comes up, I'm gonna make Nebby start just because of his. Go ahead, Nebby.
well, this movie is terrible. The first one is awful. And if the if the second and third one are worse than the first movie, this must be the worst franchise I've ever watched.
Yo, that's not good because the second and the third ones are like so much worse. I don't hate the Matrix Reloaded as much as most people do. I feel like it was okay, but when it comes to Revolutions, the third one, that's like the definition of garbage when you think about it.
It's crazy that it can get worse because 0 minus 0 is 0.
Yo, I feel like I was watching. I was listening to a Tarantino interview a few days ago, and I think he described it perfectly when it comes to the last two movies. He was, and this was back in the '90s when after he first saw him. The first movie, it was 100% his number two movie of the decade once he first saw it. But then, once the second and third movies came out, they ruined the first movie for him. That is, I think that's kind of unheard of, where you see the second and third ones, and they're so bad that the garbageness translates over to the first one. And I feel like if it was just, they should have, this is one of the franchises where they really should have stopped at the first one. And I gotta say, I don't think the original Matrix carries the rest of the franchise for me, because remember, we're evaluating these as franchises, as trilogies. I'm gonna go ahead and start off and say I'm gonna put this at Y.
I understand why. So why?
Billy.
Originally, I'm not gonna lie, I liked it, but I didn't love it for sure. And I thought they could have done better with the effects and all.
All right.
It felt like teenagers gave the ideas for the effects. Maybe they didn't.
You know what though? Well, before I'll say that the effects, I don't completely agree, because you have to remember this is the '90s and this was like revolutionary for the time. But I gotta say, the effects were so revolutionary that I feel like they kind of gave up with the plot. The plot, when you think about it, isn't as amazing or like as enthralling as it really should. As it doesn't really get you into the story as much as another movie that we compare, Inception. I know neither of you have seen Inception yet, but Inception's story and the combination of the visual effects make it so much better. When it comes to the Matrix, the original Matrix, it doesn't have that amazing story. It has a really cool story that makes you think a little bit, but it doesn't have an amazing story that transcends time and history.
It's not even the story. It's like the characters too.
Yeah,
Never.
so I was gonna talk about how it was in the '90s. I thought maybe if it was like a modern day movie, I probably would have liked it more. But I think that does it for me. I don't know. I'm not too impressed. I like the plot a little bit, but I'm gonna have to put it at Y.
Oh, this is Billy's first Y.
You know, I would have put it in not really or pretty good, but after you talked about the last two and what Tarantino said, it doesn't sound like it gets better. Maybe if it got better.
Okay, what is it? When we talked about I think the Chronicles of Narnia, you guys said it got better as it went along. This is the exact opposite. Like, it got so much worse as he went on. Now, I did say that I think that was the last. What was it? Godfather was the last one where most of you haven't seen. I think Cornetto Trilogy. I don't think any of you have seen these. Edgar Wright's 3 movies: Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. I'll say I think all of these movies, both of you would like them. These are some of the greatest comedy movies of the past 20 years. They're not like a normal trilogy where same exact characters, everything is the same as you go along. These are all just individual movies that have the same actors, they have the same director. They all take place in England. They're all I'm not sure about this, but I'm assuming they're actually probably separate timelines. All of them. I know, Billy, you've seen Baby Driver, right?
Yeah.
This same guy that made Baby Driver, but his comedic sense in these movies is so much better. He uses so much comedy. He uses the same editing. The music is just as good. Maybe not just as good. The music is like one notch lower because these aren't music-oriented movies. But when you think about the plots should sell them. Shaun of the Dead is a zombie movie. That itself, with imagine Baby Driver's directing in a zombie movie. That right there should sell that. Hot Fuzz. Go ahead.
Should I expect it to be better than Zombieland?
Oh, I'll say it's funnier. I kind of have a sense of what you like in movies. So I might say also better.
Okay.
Hot Fuzz is about a cop that gets sent to a small rural town. It's just this super cop that has been sent away, and I think there's some sort of supernatural stuff going on in this film that just randomly catches you off guard. In the world's end, I'm not even gonna spoil any of it. I don't want to tell you the plot, just because going in without knowing anything just makes it so much better for you. All three of these movies are some of the funniest movies I've ever seen. I think all three of them are in the top 20 of my comedies ever. We're going to have a greatest of all time comedies next week. I'm going to be just dreading having to pick between one of these to put on my list. But for now, I'm not going to give it any more praise. I want you guys, I'm forcing you guys to go watch these movies sometime in the near future.
Wait, what? Wait, repeat what's this?
Any reason why you wouldn't.
Are these zombie movies?
Huh?
Are these zombie movies?
One of them is a zombie movie. One of them is about I don't want to ruin it. The World's End, I want you to go in without knowing anything. I feel like that just makes it so much better for you. And then Hot Fuzz is it's more of like a cop movie. It's kind of like the Rush Hour type movie that we'll talk about later. It's a great trilogy. I'm gonna go ahead.
You move me, Yabinet. Guess what I'm about to do after this?
Oh, John.
Yes, sir. So let's go ahead and Billy. You told me that you already started watching Shaun of the Dead. So
Yes.
where are your expectations?
Hey, bro. I'm gonna have to put this at legendary, bro.
Nebby, where are your expectations at?
I'm very still cautious of putting a movie I haven't seen so high up. But Yavnik has highly praised this movie as one of the best comedies.
Yo.
So I will give it. I'll say really, really good. Really, really good.
Oh.
That's
Man, I already put it at legendary and you made me change it up. All right, so
Oh, dang.
if
Maybe
Hamza was here, he would definitely approve of this. This is undoubtedly legendary.
Is That's the director.
Of these three? No,
Yeah.
Edgar Wright.
Yeah. Isn't that the one Hamza did for Film
Yeah.
Class?
Yeah. I watched these movies like 4 years ago, and I went back to Shaun of the Dead a few weeks ago. Now that I convinced myself I'm going back to The World's End tonight too. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and download that. Billy, you've convinced me by watching Shaun of the Dead that I have to watch The World's End now.
Yo.
You know what?
All right.
Y'all convinced me, bro. Put this to legendary, right, bro? I have to. I'm gonna see this movie today as well. The first one.
The first scene is already funny, bro. They talking about the people.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Since we talked about that, let's go and jump to Back to the Future. I think this actually, now I'm regretting saying that I finished out with the ones that you guys haven't seen. You guys haven't seen Back to the Future either?
No.
I think I did. I think they played the movie once.
You know what? I said this in my 50 movies reviewed video where I have never gotten into the Back to the Future franchise. I don't know. I'm going to go back to it sometime soon, see if I still feel the same way. The plot, the characters, I'll say, are the one redeeming quality that I see that really get to me. Marty McFly, Dr. Emmett Brown. Dr. Emmett Brown, he's one of the funnier characters. But I don't know, the plot going back to the future, well, not actually going back. The first movie, they go back to the past. And then they go back to the future. And then they go back to the past again and then come back to the future. I don't know. It never got to me. It isn't bad. This was a franchise that was overhyped when I went into it. I think that's what kind of brings it down for me. Nebby, I think you've seen it. So, yeah.
I wouldn't say, I mean, I remember vaguely, like, maybe it's like that one scene in like the Walmart commercial when the Back to the Future car is picking up some groceries. I don't know, but this movie, I guess I like the concept, you know, first movie really to hit hard on to the future and Back to the Future, you know, that's kind of crazy of a name. That's a good name. You would think forward to the future, but they said back.
You know, this is something that I saw proposed. I have said that I don't love this franchise, but I don't think I would mind a possible reboot or a fifth or fourth entry where it's somebody from nowadays going back to the past where they don't have all this technology. I feel like that's an interesting concept that can be played around a bit. I don't want to see that because I don't even like the first three that much. But I'll definitely say that if they do that, I don't think that it will be as hated as most people would think. I'll start off. I'm gonna put this at not really.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that too. Not really, because I understand why they would make these movies.
Yeah.
I think that
Billy, try and ignore everything we said.
I was already gonna put it not really. Yeah, I just confirmed it. Yeah, because I feel like I'd be having too much hopes for this movie and end up getting disappointed.
Oh, that's actually probably smart to do.